Ibrahim Farhat is the Associate Professor of Conflict Resolution at the Doha Institute and joins us via Skype. Good to have you with us on the programme, sir. It comes down now to negotiation. When dealing with conflict resolution, one assumes that sort of both parties can talk with clarity to mediators about their wish list. The problem here is neither side has the same wish list.
That's correct. Let's recognize first that there is a huge gap between the position of Netanyahu, who wants to release the prisoners without stopping the war, while Hamas wants to release the prisoners but wants to stop the war. Now, how do you bridge this gap? There is definitely a role for the mediator, Joseph Biden in particular, and who is the one who can really broker such a deal. Now, Biden has been trying gently with Netanyahu is to try to bridge this gap and to try to reach an agreement. But obviously, Netanyahu is challenging him and is not listening to what Biden says. Now, the question is to the mediator. The mediator here has a leverage, and a huge leverage, and probably the only country in the world that has a leverage over the Israeli government. The question is to Biden, is Biden willing to use the leverage he has in order to enforce such an agreement? This is something that, looking at the past, that Biden has not been willing to do so.
Can you just clarify, Ibrahim, just clarify for us what you mean by leverage?
Leverage is influence that Biden.
No, are you talking about leverage? Ibrahim, I'm going to jump in there. Is leverage the meaning that he could stop arms and ammunition, or he could tell his representative at the UN to vote for a ceasefire? I mean, these are elements that Israel does not want. It needs a veto in the UN Security Council. It needs American munitions. Biden could stop both of those, couldn't he? That's the leverage we're talking about.
Biden has three types of leverage over the Israeli government. One is military, and we started seeing actually that Biden is hinting actually of using this. He's giving an ultimatum to Netanyahu is to abide by international law when using American weapons by March 15th. And if not, he's willing to stop the military supplies. He's using, there is a financial leverage. It's basically the U.S. government who's funding this war on the Israeli side. And also there is the diplomatic that can allow a resolution in the Security Council to pass without vetoing it. So three types of leverage that Biden can use, and three cards in his hands that he can use to enforce the decision. But in the past, again, he has not been willing to use it, and this is going to cost him dearly because we're approaching the elections, and the elections in the state of Michigan, a swing state, showed just yesterday that 15% are not willing of the voters there. They're not willing to support Biden because he's not stopping the war in Gaza.
OK, so let me just ask then about these latest comments that we've been hearing from President Biden on camera, talking about a ceasefire by Monday. And I was just wondering whether he's jumped the gun or he's rocking the boat in a way, as you say, to start some sort of leverage or a threat indirectly to the Prime Minister in Israel. How do you assess this? Because if there is no ceasefire by Monday, this all sort of blows up in his face, doesn't it?
This is definitely going to cost him a lot in terms of his credibility and his role as a mediator, and will raise huge questions about the relationship between the U.S. government and the Israeli government. To what extent that America is using or is funding this war without being listening to. And this has raised serious concerns within the State Department, the U.S. State Department. We are using our money. We are paying. We are funding this war, but we are only paying without being listening to. So Monday is going to be an important test for Biden, whether he's willing to lose his credibility, lose in the elections, also because the overwhelming majority, 67% of the polls of Americans, they're supporting a ceasefire, immediate ceasefire now. Obviously, Netanyahu does not care about whether Biden is going to lose is not giving him this room in order to use for his elections. Netanyahu cares only about one thing, which is his political future and continuing in his position in this government.
Yes.
And he's seeing his position is being maintained only by continuing this war. And that's why Biden, again, is approaching a very real test on Monday, now that he made it public, that we're hoping that by Monday it's going to be a ceasefire. It does not look good for Biden because also looking at the history, Netanyahu always chose his position, not the U.S. administration's position.
We shall see what does happen on Monday. For the moment, Ibrahim Fahad from the Doha Institute, thank you.